basic training we have given, and after signing MOU, they have given the full-time employment, means last semester, because that is giving full permission for doing full-time employment with us. So after 1 month, they started involving with our means upcoming project. So every day, they are getting means their skill it's getting developed. So basic my point is, as a ecosystem enablers, and means a lot of ecosystem is there, accelerators, incubators, and also founders are there. We should also responsible for giving skill development to the new graduates and professionals it's coming to the industry. So that is a main point I want to share it with you. And also in manufacturing, we should need to more focus on smart manufacturing, because manufacturing sectors are there, because basically we are working in toy industry also. So in India, it's toy industry, it's very unauthorized. So we can find out hardly in somewhere in different locations, but it's not collectively we can contact all these manufacturing sectors. So we should gather them to the one point, and also we should provide the smart manufacturing tools, and we should introduce different technologies for making it very much smart. So these are my points. Thank you.
Very interesting. I think one of the things which coming out of such discussions is we need collectives, not people. So there are a lot of standalone individuals, standalone institutions who are doing extremely well. So if you read Balasar's book on the 50 best companies in Kerala, you would understand where were these people. We have not seen these people before, right? Unless the book is published and coming out. So most of them operated maybe in their own limited environments with not much public visibility. But with initiatives like this, what we want is, if there is something happening good, right, that must get visibility and can inspire more people. Like you said, it should be a collective, right? Collectives like this, which can, like for example, like the biggest example would be the industry college, bridge, which was just a term, but now what you can see is a real conversation happening between two people. One is a founder, the other is a student, right?
We never had this opportunity.
Yeah.
You were in the college, right?
Yeah.
We never had an opportunity to interact with all.
Absolutely, and I remember most of the college days, like college days where the industry person would be like 1,000 students away, right? Most of us would be standing on the thing and then would listen to a 10-minute TED talk and they leave, right? So that's not the thing which we want. We want to see whether this is possible, whether this is also possible for me. That is the message we want, right? Great, please.
Hi, my name is Kiran. See, the thing is that the point about upskilling is that everybody will upskill, and what they will do is they will learn one more language and they will just leave Kerala. So the point is, how are we going to keep them in Kerala? That is or in India as such. I mean, that is one doubt that or a problem that I'm facing right now, because all the any staff that has left me has never gone to any other company. They have all reached Canada or Australia or Germany. So how do we stop that? Because I hope you get my point. That's
very, very important discussion actually. Why? Because I think in the last 6 months we have seen people migrating. So, but if you really look at it, the kind of people who migrated to these countries were not essentially software programmers with very high skills, but most of them were like looking for new opportunities, right? But there are also people who have kind of shifted from $20 per hour to $100 per hour, wherein the markets are not essentially Kerala, unless they are working with a company who has got clients in the US or Canada, right? Or they are an entrepreneur themselves. So very, very interesting point, but I don't have an answer. Maybe you can try.
Maybe yes. I'll connect actually the engineering connection and the foreigner part. So I did my engineering from Bangalore. So I did in EC. I worked maybe hardly 1 year in the EC industry, electronics industry. But only the 4th year I learned something while I was doing project. So the curriculum is utter bakwas. Like you don't learn anything in the first 3 years. Only the final year, when you do project, you learn something. And after that 1 year of work, I went to France for my master's. Over there, we didn't have any exam. For every subject, we had a project. So So project you get to learn like, in practical. So they give us, we even did an expo, India Expo. Like I was the only Indian in that group, but they chose India, I don't know why. So we did an expo in Mumbai for a project management subject. So that we learned a lot in those kind of like, scenarios. See, in India, I don't think, I'm not aware about the MBA situation in India, but that in kind of exams or projects or simulations can help in any subject, be it in engineering or management or in any other subject. And about everyone going abroad, right? See, they're going to go there, do some part-time job. I know people who have been like, I had juniors who've been working, who came there for studies, and they wanted to get some job, but the language in France, French is a must, right? So they couldn't learn the language like properly, and they couldn't get a job. So they're still doing their restaurant job. It's been like 8 years since I left, and they're still doing the restaurant job. Everything they save, they do like, a year-end pay to renew the visa, they spend the same amount. So that won't make any economic sense in the future. In Canada also, it's everyone is going there and going to get saturated.
The thing is that, because when I was in college, the whole thing was to get a job in Infosys, Wipro, something like that. That was the dream, or start a startup. That was back in 2008, and that was, in my final year. But right now, when I talk to interns and everybody, the parents, the students, the aim is to go to Canada. The aim is to go to Australia. The aim is to go to Germany. How do we stop that? They all want to do this. They want to start a company, but in Canada. They want to start a company in Germany because it's a bigger market or something. There is something else over there. At least there is a perception, as we were speaking earlier.
Perception is the main thing. Like they don't know the actual thing
going on. I understand. So we need something. We need to keep them here also.
Around 6-7 months back, we were also struggling with something when the COVID wave hit, especially in the software industry. Even I got a hell of offers for myself from a lot of top MNC, top companies too, and I was literally shocked about the package which they were giving. And I was thinking that, okay, they are giving this package, how they are going to thrive, because you have to think about the business perspective too. Even freshers or who are upskilled, just freshers, they didn't know anything about the industry, still they are asking around 50K. As a fresher, 50K, 70K, 1 lakh rupees salary. On that day, we founders sat and we discussed about this thing. My founders told me, wait for next couple of 4 to 5 months, this thing will happen. Yes, it happened. All companies started laying off the thing because of the salary issue. The same thing. I've been right now, recently I've went MWC here, Mr. Deepu is also here, who has went MWC. When we visited European countries, let me tell you, this is a kind of wave where the people understand that there is a European or American dream coming true. But when you go to that country and when you understand that, my country is much more developed and much more better. We have much more opportunities over here. Why the bloody hell I took lot of people are regretting right now. I know personally, lot of people told me that I'm coming back to India 1 year, 2 year, because I've just paid my education loan. I have to pay it back and I'm just coming back to India because there are a lot of opportunities, a lot of startups happening. My thing is that just sit and wait. They will come back for sure.
It was quite interesting to listen to all these conversations. I just want to add something. One is in regarding to, yes, there is a large number of students who are going abroad to study, and there is also that aspect that many of them are not coming back. Okay, one of you who mentioned that it's always greener outside. You study, you find some job, because to sustain yourself you need a job, and what happens is just because of the exchange rate you stick on there. But the reality is, okay, from all the discussions that we've been having in regarding to IT, India is the best place to be in as on date, and that is the truth. Simply, one is because we have the youngest the population, if you look at just the population, the young population, this is the best place to be in. Also, there's also reverse migration that is continuously happening, so that is also happening. One request I have to youngsters is, please change this narrative about Kerala. Don't keep on, talking negatively about Kerala. It is a fantastic place to live in and work. Whatever you say, it has the highest HDI. I mean, even if you look at Niti Aayog, when you look at health, we are right there on the top. And until and unless you go and experience not having that, if you go to the north and you stay there and you experience not having that, you will realize what a wonderful place it is to live and work in Kerala. My son is in Mumbai and he refuses to leave Mumbai. Okay, so I had this conversation with him and I asked him, what is it that is making you stay? It's definitely not the food or the environment or the pollution or the stress and, there's lack of quality of living. What is making you stay? Then he said, I'm living in a flat with six other boys, and one is a cinemat, I'm a filmmaker, one can do editing, one can do this. So I can make a movie with these 6 people in my flat. He's just talking about the ecosystem. That's it. So metros are giving you an ecosystem, so you want to go there. But if youngsters keep leaving Kerala, where are we going to create this ecosystem? It's a fabulous place to live and work in, but you need to choose to stay here. The point is, we have to create together, we have to create the ecosystem. And that's how we're able to, make that ecosystem and make Kerala the best place to live and work. I mean, I wanted to listen to youngsters, listen to your point of view, and this is what my personal view is. And regarding to what you mentioned about tools, all these, if you look at ChatGPT, you look at it as a tool that is going to help you build whatever you're going to build. So your entire focus as engineering students, you need to be, whether if you're getting into a profession, well and good. If you're going to be an entrepreneur, well and good. Okay? But think of a problem-solving mindset. What is the problem that I can solve? Can I create a product or service that can solve a real problem which you can monetize tomorrow? And everything else is a tool to help you do that. So that's the kind of thought process you should have. Instead of, going negative, what's going to happen, this is coming, that is coming. So if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to think of what is a problem that I can solve and how can I ensure that I can monetize this? Am I producing something which is of need? That's the point. Is it something of need where somebody is willing to pay their money and buy it? Because you need to sustain, it needs to be viable. So look at everything as a tool to help you get to that goal. And that should be the thought process. I just wanted to add these 2 points. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I think one of the things with the digital economy skills is that there is nobody going to compel you to learn this. Right? Have you ever noticed this? Right? The whole thing about, say, for example, in your school, if nobody compels you to learn organic chemistry, will you ever attempt that? Right? Or in engineering, if nobody is saying that I need to learn thermodynamics, there is nobody passionate about thermodynamics, right? Unless there is a system which works with you, right? A compliance system which say that you need to learn organic chemistry to get out of your 10th, right? So the problem with digital economy skills is there is no boss will tell you to learn this, no company will tell you to learn this, right? And no ecosystem will push you to learn this. So it's a very self-driven, self-learned economy we are getting into, and that is the biggest challenge. So this is where I think communities like this will kind of inspire each other to learn, hey, this person is learning it, let me learn this, right? The only way to do is probably through comparison, right? So where is the comparison possible? Through community learning, right? So the college is the best place to learn. Why? Because, you cannot have a day coming back home without thinking that somebody else has done something, right? I'm sure about the founders at KSUM, I'm sure that you can't leave this complex without seeing someone doing something beautiful or doing something smart, right? So, so this is the final 5 minutes of discussion. That is what Divya says. So let's please go ahead, Rajiv.
Hi, I just want to add on to what my friend Niaz said from my own experience. Okay, this is coming from a policy decision on education. Okay, so I did my MBA from a college called Great Lakes. It's a 1-year MBA program. Okay, one of the top 15 institutes in India. We never had any exams approved by UGC. The way we did macroeconomics exam was actually 10 industries were taken. As a group, we will go in and pick a lot. I got airlines, my group got airlines as an industry. Whatever that you learned in macroeconomics, supply, demand, monopoly, oligopoly, whatever, come in and present it with regards to Indian market, and everybody has to sit and listen to it. So 10 industries were taken, and we all spoke about all the factors of macroeconomics that we studied in that textbook, and we presented it, and there was a 5-minute question and answer session. And that was a final exam. There was no university exam. It was not approved to any university. The problem is, the syllabus, and I said I studied, this is one of the top 15 institutes in India in management, this thing according to various rankings, and also depending upon how industries go in to take these students for campus job. This job is not, this certificate that I hold is not approved by UGC. I wanted to apply for a PhD and it was rejected. Why? Because top 15 universities, even the same problem with even ISB. Students applying for PhD in India don't get, I have an admit from a US university, but I obviously can't afford to leave my startup here and then go there and do this. The couple of institutes that I applied to for part-time, they said we would love to have profiles like you, but UGC will not allow it. Okay, so these kind of policies, something which kind of feel that is a stumbling block. Second thing, I very well resonate to Anisha ma'am, which what she was saying about the health part of it. So I run a health and wellness company. All these people in Canada, US, UK, even in Middle East, whenever they have a health problem, especially Malayalis, no, first thing that they do, take a flight and come back. For paying 200, 250 rupees, they will get an OP and get an appointment of what? Super specialist, an endocrinologist or a gastroenterologist, which they have to wait for over 5-6 months to actually get the approval to, and even then they don't get quality access to health and wellness. And the cost is humongous, I mean exorbitant. They can't even afford to get an ambulance. Going to a doctor and getting an appointment is just a 1-2 day task altogether, right? So, yes, there are challenges, but we are also an economy which is growing at 10% of the population is still surviving on less than $2 a day. So while these are the policies, I agree with a lot of things that you're mentioning, but I also want to throw light on the other side of the story, wherein this is not their only problem. There is also a lot of people wherein daily having enough food is also a problem. So government has to probably divide all the resources amongst these, and the countries that we are probably comparing with are with 10 times more per capita income than what we are. We are talking about $2,500 of per capita income a year, and we are pitting it against $60,000 and $50,000 of per capita, right? So we have different problems. You've come a long way, but definitely some policy, this thing specifically from this education perspective I think would clear a way to do a lot better things and faster and better. I know UGC is coming up with many policies, but would love to see more. Thank you.
Thank you everyone. We have the final 5 minutes, and we would like to use this into by kind of writing one core idea which you have, which you would give the utmost importance to, which can be shared with the team here. So just take your notepad and write down one idea which you feel, if possible, an actionable idea, not just an insight or a fact, an actionable idea which you feel can be done, which can be a direct application to the policymakers as well, because what we require is obviously a lot of discussions, a lot of observations have happened, but can we have one actionable idea on a very niche topic? It needn't be change the education system. Yes, it is a very structural problem, but can we have one idea? Please go ahead. No, that is taken by Rahul. He already here. That is another round of discussion. So we are talking about the first one. Yeah. You can use your notepad and pen, and then once it is done, you can share it with me, and then I'll give it to him. If possible, just one. I mean, initially I thought of 3, but I don't think you have the, if it is 3, then you're going to make up 3, right? You have to manufacture 3. You don't have to manufacture, you just have to make one or share one idea. Yeah. Yeah. So, but you don't have the pressure of, we need more kind of a thing. Yeah. It can be very niche also. I mean, I'm not saying that it can be changing the machinery or anything, It can be even changing the spare parts, right? So now it is time for brain writing. So I hope, I think we have articulated enough of it. Like I hope some of you couldn't, but I think if you want, we can do it right now. But it is time to write down that idea, because writing is commitment, right? Writing is real, you know? Please. When you write down in a fresh paper, because this is going to be handed over to me. Done. Please correct. Can you give a summary or quickly? I just want to read some of them. So thank you so much for this very, very lively and active discussion. And I'm sure that these are the core, things which are coming out of this. I don't have time to read everything, but I found some of it very interesting, which could be used as a summary of this whole, discussion. If you have anybody to give this, maybe I'll, yeah, please. So in one word, what do you think about the discussion? Was it useful, meaningful? Something can come out of it? What is one word comment on it? Just to take your feedback from you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Productive. Okay, that is a very good word as far as, coming from you. What else? Good start. Okay. Being proactive. Interesting. Thoughtful. Okay. I think that is enough of adjectives for a good group discussion. Let's not praise ourselves for doing this. But I think these, ideas are going to reach the right place. This is not just a piece of paper with ideas which you leave at the event hall itself before leaving, right? But that is the usual conference habit which most of us have. You take notes and leave it there. But this is going to reach the right place. There are some interesting ideas which maybe I'll use at a summary point. Make financial education part of school curriculum. Okay. Connecting the industry from the early stages to the academic journey of a college. Linking industries with education systems to students. Access of fab labs across colleges. encouraging. So that's some very nice, good paragraphs written, encouraging students to step beyond the confines of curriculum and going beyond the structure of education. Need of creating micro innovation centers in tier 2 and 3 cities, which could be sector specific and can drive the industry forward. Yeah, I think building perception. Yeah, I think going philosophical and sometimes starting innovative research labs across the country with sufficient funding. Vetting programs, especially for technical courses, which are like really future proof. Mandatory to make upskilling carried out in every industry. Yeah. So I'm not reading the full, but just to get a feel of what it is. Suggestion to have good awareness to college students in India, best place to learn and everything. Yes. So I'm sure that we discussed some of the dynamics of it. And I'm sure this discussion will lead to something useful for RIS also to compile and summarize it. If you have any comments, you can share with the team. I would be happy to hear from you. This is for you.
Thank you. I think it was a wonderful discussion. And I would like to thank our chair who has led us wonderfully through this session. I think we have got some very nice comment and it will help us to formulate the communique. Thank you. And thanks a lot to you for conducting this session so good. Thank you.
Thank you, KK, for the wonderful session, very interactive session. So the next brainstorming session is Health Wellbeing Sports by Rahul Maman, founder of Heal Pharma. He is a charter member of TAI Kerala. Welcome.
Yeah, I know I'm not the right person for health, but Rajiv, forgive me for that. This is what was given to me. So, jokes apart, seriously, let me tell you a little bit of what we do. We are in FMCG, but we also, as part of what I've been doing, we also run a few football turfs. I think football is a great equalizer for kids, and different people come from different walks of life, and it's just great fun, and it's an economic, it's an equalizer in all ways. That's from that, and I also see that a lot of mental health problems are there, and yeah, in the US we joke that they go to the shrink for anything, but here they don't go for anything. So it's just probably completely opposites on both sides of the spectrum. So that's one, and I think for me, I have too much of clutter and too much of noise and chatter in my brain all the time in terms of noise. So being mindful and being meditating in different forms, like using Headspace or whatever, is useful for me, and I'm sure it's useful for you as startup founders. And I think I'll just leave the floor open and maybe give comments as we have inputs coming in, rather than me speaking for too long. So let us start. Hi everyone. Anyone wants to go, I think? Yeah, okay. So how many of you played sports today? Yeah. Okay, how many of you played sports in the last 1 week? But see, I think we've got lots of work here also. So that's one. Any startups working in the space of sports or sports nutrition or anything to do with sports? Okay. Rajiv, maybe you can give some. Yeah, I think I'm just going to cold call and just.
Hi, my name is Rajiv. I run a company called Nuvo Vivo. We are into medical fitness. So we basically deal with people having lifestyle diseases. Just painting up a little bit of a background so that you would understand where I'm come from. I did not intend to start this startup in health and wellness. It just happened over a period of time. Happened because of one startup failed, pivoted from one to another, and ended up doing this. And and I'm not a sports person, okay? I'm not a sports person. I consider myself a bookworm and a proud born at it, okay? And ended up into doing what I'm doing right now. How I figured out that there is a need for what I'm doing, because this is relevant to what I'm coming to. I started up with the education space, and that's why I had so much points to add in earlier. I started with a mentoring platform which puts students to industry experts to get mentored and be ready for a job. I realized that this is not going anywhere, irrespective of the employability problems. No student is ready to pay for mentoring. So one friend jokingly said, make them look sexy. They probably will be ready to pay for it. And then we thought, okay, remove all industry experts, bring in gym trainers and fitness trainers, and help all the students and youngsters look sexy, have a six-pack abs and flex their muscles, and probably they will be ready to pay at that time, maybe. And that's how I took my first pivot, moved into fitness. Then I realized that the youngsters don't have the disposable income to pay, and for them, looking great is a must-have. Becoming healthy is a nice to have. They don't have any problem as yet. They're not diabetic. They don't have a hypertension issue. And they don't have the money to pay for it, right? And I took my final pivot and moved into medical fitness. The gap that I've understood in this health, coming to this point that we are discussing about, is that when we talk about health and wellness in our present scenario, we have multiple options, right? There is a curative healthcare and there is a preventive healthcare. Curative healthcare is all these doctors, hospitals, clinics. And the preventive healthcare, we are talking about two sections within that itself. All the exercise experts, fitness studios, gym trainers, Zumba trainers and all that. And then there are these nutrition experts, dietitians and all that. And there's this whole supplementation industry also. Problem is that all these three industries that I mentioned, all of them work in silos. And they don't understand one another's language, and they don't understand one another's value that they add. You can't go to a fitness studio and then show a liver function test and expect them to make sense if it is a grade 1 or a grade 2 fatty liver. But they understand the idea of exercises, and that's important. Dietitians typically don't get into exercises. They say nutrition, calorie planning. They don't get into workouts. Exercises are very much part of the two sides of a coin. So within the preventive healthcare itself, two sides who should work together, it is not there in academy. It's not there even in the curriculum. The best, not just in Kerala, I'm talking about, I've looked at multiple syllabuses across different, this thing. Dietitians don't learn anything about, or nutrition experts don't learn anything about exercises. For fitness and exercise, there is nothing which actually really formalizes an education in sports and exercises and biomechanics and kinesiology. These are all papers that MBBS students would learn in as one of their addition, or maybe physiotherapy people would learn in one of their terms. There is no structured method which bridges between these two. And these are two sides of a coin. One is a calorie input, other one is a calorie expenditure. Both has to come in place to give some sensible result with regards to a person becoming healthy. So there is a big gap there. Now coming to the third one, which is clinics, doctors and all those things. See, they are mired in their own therapeutic management, medicines and all those things. Lifestyle management is never a part of it. For them, cutting rice, walking 30 minutes a day, and there ends their lifestyle management and nothing beyond that. And for them, nutrition is not even a part of what they learn. It's just very basics. And they don't get into it. And visibly, someone was jokingly saying that, Amma was mentioning that, Jimman is here. Now, it is important for me to look like, if I have a rotten belly, people will come look at me from a top to bottom when I introduce myself, right? And this happens even with doctors. So an endocrinologist talking about diabetes, asking a person to lose weight and become healthy, I've heard people come to us saying that, Sala, what does he know? Look at him himself. And that's a reality. It's a hard-hitting, sad reality. So we need to create ecosystems and a lot of people in exercises or fitness trainers, gym trainers, are the people who did not get a government job, or they did not get any other job, and hence they aren't doing this, right? For them it is kayi nadiki, kali nadiki. That's where the exercises are, right? So formalizing this with and also making sure there are enough job opportunities is important to get right people onto that sector, and then we would see a ripple effect in terms of how health.
Just now that I've we are in lifestyle disease management, and so we are in pharma distribution for people who don't know. So the overall that sector is chronic and it just keeps growing. But from from a sports point of view, because of like decathlons in the major cities and all that, a lot of adult sports and amateur leagues have started, which is great for teamwork. And it's great for me because I get to abuse a lot in the morning and it just feels good when you let it out. It's great for fitness, but like he said, I think people are really not spending enough on preventive and they're working more on, like he said, I am that endocrinologist with the tummy, but I'm sorry about that. But then one thing is for health. I think inflammation is root cause for almost every kind of disease, from cancer to everything else out there. So I think inflammation is function of stress and health and food and all that. But one thing I realized is yesterday I was speaking to somebody called Pranay HS, who's a badminton player for India. And he won the Thomas Cup for us as part of the team. But getting support or recognition for a non-cricket sport is not really out there for even now. I mean, it's all improving a lot. I was there for the volleyball finals and all that. So there is some improvement, but still India is still pretty much a one sports country, right? So that's probably has to change, and it is changing a little bit. But I don't know how many of you use, but I'm sure a lot of you don't use fancy watches anymore. It's mostly health that you measure. And a lot of our friends now check health across ourselves, and we have steps, and it's kind of, we're all competitive by nature, right? I mean, every one of us here is competitive, and if you have a bunch of 6 or 7 of people there sharing their health metrics in terms of at least steps or calories expended a number of minutes, it makes you competitive. And I'm sure as tech, there is going to be a lot of future there in terms of figuring out how to get health accepted, because if you have 1.4 billion people, I mean, starting with from a market point of view, it's only 1 or 2% that probably even matters for you. You don't even need to look at 20-30%. There are significant numbers out there from that, and from high school up to colleges and all that. I think sports is one good way to get kids distracted. I mean, it's all recreation. So I think getting kids distracted by having a solid sports system out there. And for that, I think soccer is a good place, cricket is good, because you require minimal equipment. Obviously, life expectancy is increasing, people expect to live longer. Figuring out how to get our kids early in, like, I don't know how many of you do that, but I try to get my kids to do different sports to figure out what they like. And I don't know, let's leave the floor open for questions. I'm just putting in a lot of points there.
So, had worked in the nutrition industry. Like, I worked with one of the dietitians. Like, she was a dietitian association president of Bangalore. So I worked with her to develop a protein bar and a snacking bar. So this snacking is the major issue with the IT crowd, right? So they snack on chanas or any fried items, and it increases your calorie intake, sugar, everything goes up. So we developed a protein bar and snack bar based on millets. Millets, no sugar added. Millets, honey, dates, all those were used. So we tried to, like, market it. Obviously, we didn't have a marketing budget like Heel has. If we had, obviously, we would have been somewhere else. But we did that, and that was a major problem we identified. Like, snacking among IT crowd was the biggest health hazard. And we even had an endocrinologist who had a tummy. So, but everyone approved it, but this was the issue we faced or like identified. We even tried to tie up with gyms to incorporate that as well.
Yeah, but just as you spoke, I was just thinking, like you have for cigarettes, if you want kids to be healthier, maybe have the calories right up front, very visible for, 500 calories, 400 calories. Because I was in a hotel, recently I was going to buy a piece of cake, and thankfully they had that number of calories written right in front because of government mandate. So I didn't buy it, I just walked away because it's 500 calories for the damn thing. So I think having for your snacks like your Pringles or Lay's, 500 calories, 400 calories right in front in a very fun way, but parents would probably realize it much better. And government can always mandate that.
When it comes to agriculture and food crop production, millets is something that I think should be looked at very seriously for multiple reasons. The nutrition part aside, it is also something which is much more easier on the environment, takes in much lesser amount of the water, and it's a lot more. Yes, there are certain aspects of per hectare yield and things like that is something that needs to be looked at as compared to wheat and rice. But with regards to both nutrition, sustainability aspect also, because we are also living in a time wherein global warming and all these things and water and everything is also being looked at. So millet and millet-based addition into nutrition and wellness is going to be a different and interesting space to look at, I feel.
We also have somebody who's in the water space. Shajar, you want to say something? But how?
Hi, Mohammad Shajar here. I'm from Goa, India. Actually, what I'm doing is like we are restoring the water bodies now. Because of these problems, nowadays we are facing in the Cochin also, couple of days everywhere there is no water. No pure waters at all. So we are just restoring the water bodies and all these kind of things. Okay. So I want to know like more details about the. Have you been like anyone is aware of the water things over here going on nowadays? Couple days in Cochin. Do you know guys anything about that water? Nothing, right? Yeah, water leakage is there already there, and the second problem, just now there is no groundwater at all. Almost the people facing in my apartment there is no groundwater at all. In Edachar, wherever I am staying, so we need to be like we need to give like more awareness on this kind of things. That's my thing I'm telling here.
See, I'm not a medical professional or nutritionist or anything, but I would like to hear your viewpoint on sugar, because I've heard that sugar is a very dangerous. It's more dangerous than drugs. It's very addictive, and it's like it's in a part. It's part of our life much more than these kind of dangerous things, and we don't see it as a sin good or anything. Any health professional or anything, anybody can help me in that regarding sugar and usage, because no government body is actually doing anything regarding the control of sugar in foods, especially in drinks or in other eatables and snacks and everything. So anybody, any inputs as well?
Since I'm the only health expert, I guess, here taking this. Okay, so I love ice creams. Okay, and I do have it once in a while. Okay, I want to give in some caveats before I get into this. And I'm also of opinion that there is no point living I was talking about this to KK. There is no point living every day for tomorrow and never ever living it today. Okay, because you will never ever live it today. Every day you're living for tomorrow, right? So what I say is that, these are all pleasures of life which needs to be had once in a while. And when I talk to my clients also, I say, don't have sugar, don't even look at that. It's not going to happen. Okay. Now, suppose someone gets faints and falls because of a physical activity or whatever. First thing that we give is sugar water or glucose water, right? Glucose is not bad. Sugar is bad. Glucon-D is not bad. It's healthy, right? So but I'm not saying sugar is great. Go ahead and have it. No, that's not what I'm saying. The problem is anything that you overdo is bad. That is true even with protein also.
The question was something that along the lines of what he said. Because everybody is snacking right now in the IT industry and every industry. It's the same.
No,
case with
so we are only talking about. I understood where you're coming from.
Like
We are only talking about one side of the equation, which is calorie intake. Earlier, people used to have only 2 meals or maximum 3 meals, while they actually did a lot of labor-intensive work. I remember my grandmother used to lift water from the well. That is what I do today in a gym as a seated cable row. Okay, so we don't do physical activity, and for us, exercises is walking. Go to the stadium and see the number of the people who are walking around it. Most of these people are rationalizing walking as an exercise. They are actually capable of doing much better exercises and physical activity. So we are talking only about one side of the equation without even giving this thing, because this is a difficult thing to do, no? 45 minutes of exercise, going to gym, lift weights, or do some yoga, or do some cardio is not something that people would want to do. And that is important. So if you can't, in Malayalam we say, no, it's not going to work. You want to have calories, go ahead and have calories, but find means to burn it. But yes, it also has to come with sleep and other things, as he rightly said. Inflammation is going to, we live in an inflammatory world. Step out, the air that we breathe is inflammatory. Right? I mean, Brahmapuram, all that aside, even the vehicle exhaust, everything is inflammatory. So, no wonder we are so much of cardiovascular diseases and all these health and wellness. In fact, I want to quote this thing. According to UN, India is the soon to be the diabetes capital of the world, right below China. And in that, the diabetes prevalence is double in Kerala, the most literate state. Diabetes prevalence is more than double that of the national average here. You think an average Malayali wherein almost 100% literate does not know how to manage diabetes. They would know exercises are important. They know that sugar needs to be reduced. They know fiber needs to be included. They know exercises needs to be done. Still, why is our diabetes prevalence higher? Most of the diabetic, I confidently would say 90% of the diabetic Malayali would know what it entails to become healthy and keep blood sugar levels down and diabetes at bay. But still, that's not happening. So it's not only about access to gym and things like that. It is also a lot of misinformation is there, right? I've heard people say panchasara nirthi sharkara kaicha diabetes ho raha hai, teen kaicha. So that is one side of the story. So it's not just one aspect alone. But for me, if I were to take one single thing, it is not even this input part. It's also a lot to do with how much calorie are we spending in a day. Are we exercising? Are we being physically active? Earlier, people never had to exercise. That was part of their day-to-day life. That is a change, is what I feel.
Yeah, my elder son is now 7 years old, and he spends 5-6 hours watching TV and Minecraft and stuff like that. And I'm not for it, but this is the world we live in, especially considering COVID 2 years and stuff like that. How do you see your kids or kids near you behaving now compared to how you were? And how do you potentially change that, right? I mean, and if you don't, then maybe they'll have 100 other problems. They say gaming is great for social skills. I don't believe that. It's great for mobility, agility and all that. I still don't believe that. It might be good for some reflexes and stuff like that, and it's great. I mean, this is what my wife says. She has a PS whatever, and I don't. I think there's a lot of disproportionate time being spent, and it's screen time is becoming very easy for kids to be given as a cocaine kind of equivalent, and that's probably affecting game time. My kid doesn't really want to go down for too long. He needs any reason to come up after. We stay in an apartment, so he wants to just go down and then come up quickly enough to again watch TV or stuff like that. I'm sure it was a problem earlier, but I think it's much more now. But how would you potentially solve for that?
I don't feel it's about an awareness part, because the book Ikigai clearly explains how the health and wellness being to be addressed. So as he said, most of Keralites is aware of it, but it's only about the implementation. So the food intake has to be how much, and the stress level reduction and being happy. So all these are the solutions. It's not that, I don't think that none of us are not aware about it, but we are somehow not able to implement it into our day-to-day lives. That's what I feel it.
I think we can include the mental health part of the well-being in the discussion. Yeah, I mean, if someone could share some perspective on the mental health part or mental well-being.
So one of the things which I find really working to develop active lifestyle is something which you can notice, like in Sundays you see marathons, right? So there is a community experience around it where people start flocking in and then they compare with each other over Strava, and so there is a community of people who compare with each other about what they do on a normal day, like running, and then coming on a Sundays for marathon. So this is an example. Maybe I think active lifestyle is about the average of people you see, right? For example, you go to Calicut for 10 days, you know what happens, right? You are all celebrating food every day. but rather you go to Idukki, you don't have the opportunity to kind of celebrate food every day. You have the opportunity to walk 10 kilometers a day. So it is community and who we are with. So there is a famous saying that who your friend is probably will end up mirroring their behaviors, right? Like eating or celebrating or whatever you call it. So if we can make it a community experience of, it can work.
I think I can link what KK told with the question of Rahul. That's regarding the activities of kids. So in our childhood, we